Hello and welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another cold day. We're back in Brampton, Ontario to compare two vehicles that are part of the same group. On my left side we have the 2020 Atlas Cross Sports. Meanwhile on the right side we have the Audi Q8. The Cross Sport has been described as the poor man's Q8. Technically it is a copy of the Q8. Even though these two are part of the same brand, they don't have quite a lot in common, well, except the design, of course. This was inspired by the Q8. But in terms of technology and features and ride quality and power and all that, they're very far from each other. My goal today is to find out what's so different between the two of them. And of course, is it actually worth this thing more than that? We'll get into detail in terms of technology, ride quality, feature, space, and all that. And I'll show you how different they are and how similar possibly they are at the same time. Now, one thing that I love about the Volkswagen Group, unlike other brands, like for example, Hyundai Genesis, some of the features that you see in a Hyundai vehicle, you'll find them in a Genesis, like the infotainment system. In here, it's completely the opposite. Nothing inside the Volkswagen in terms of technology resembles this. Like the infotainment system, it's not even close to. The cluster is not even the same. Now, they're part of the same group, of course, but yet they don't share a lot in common. Now, let us start and compare these two. But before, I need to get over there. Okay, it's slippery today, I'm sorry. Whoa. Okay, Jesus Christ. I feel bad like leaning on cars, but here we go. God damn it. And the fur fell. Oh, man. Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. Oh, my back. Damn it. These two cars are provided to us thanks to our partners, Bramgate Volkswagen, a dealership located in Brampton, Ontario, a Volkswagen dealership, which is across from Audi Brampton. They were very kind enough to get this together for me so that I can review them and show you what they're all about and how similar or different they are. If you want to know more about their dealership, the link will be in the description box and their Instagram if you want to take either or for a test drive. And at the same time, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe because we have a lot more comparisons coming on the way. Now, let us start first with prices. That in Canada, the Atlas Cross Sport starts at $43,000 Canadian. This, the Q8, it's almost this, the Q8 is almost double the price, starting at $83,000. Yes, it's almost double the price. That's insane. Now, of course, that depends on the package that you pick. Like, for example, that can go up to $50,000 to $60,000. That's, of course, Canadian. This one can go over $100,000 easily. That depends on the package. And, of course, you can pick different types of performance levels. So you can get the SQ8 or the RS Q8, which is a new model that came out. Basically different engine, more powerful, and so on. That has two engines under the hood. It offers one standard, a 4-cylinder turbocharged or a V6. This, on the other hand, has a V6 turbocharged engine producing about 335 horsepower, a lot more than what the Atlas Cross Sport offers. Now, if you had to pick the SQ8, well, that will be over 400 to close to 500 horsepower. Meanwhile, that on the V6 engine produced a little bit more than you'd get, for example, in the 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. What they have in common is, of course, the all-wheel drive system. This is a Quattro, slightly more advanced than what the 4Motion offers. Now, they're not too far from each other, just how the power is delivered to the wheels when you take it out off-road or if you are in a deep snow. Another difference between the two of them is actually the pilot assist that this offers. So for example, if you look carefully onto the actual grille here, it has two sensors in the front that continuously pick up objects, checks for pedestrians, and make sure that you stay within the lane. So constantly monitoring the road. That it just offers the standards, of course, with lane assist, lane departure, but not as advanced as you'd find in the Audi. Also, the Q8 offers you for the brakes and the rims are 22-inch, and then the actual brakes are big brake kits, something that you don't find in the Atlas Cross Sports. This one offers you magnetic ride, which is the one that we have for today's video, or you can pick an air suspension system that costs about $3,500 to $4,000. The air suspension system allows you to adjust the height of the vehicle, while the Cross Sport offers you just standard struts, of course, no magnetic ride or air suspension system. Now, another reason why these two have that difference in price is because the brand. Don't forget, that's an Audi, that's a Volkswagen. To some people that might not mean anything, or you just don't care at the end. You just care to have a car that could look similar to that, but to some, actually that matters, because the Audi stands for something. It's a different brand. It's a luxury brand. The Volkswagen, it's standard. It's for the average person that can't afford a Q8 like myself. I couldn't afford. I can't even dream about a car like this. But the Cross Sport, for me, it's something within my budget that I can easily purchase. The Q8, on the other hand, stands for something bigger than that. So there's more luxury, and of course, it comes with the brand history at the same time. It's all about perception, right? It's all about how people perceive this too. One is just a standard vehicle, the other one is a luxury vehicle. So that matters at the end of the day, and that's another reason why you're paying for this double the price of this one. Now, in terms of design, you'll notice the difference right away as well. Like, for example, the front area for the Audi, this one has the S-Line package, has that beautiful grille across with a lot of details in terms of the front bumper. Meanwhile, in the Atlas Cross Sport, you do have some details, like, for example, under the headlights. But other than that, it's pretty plain compared to the Audi Q8. There are more details in here, the difference in the actual headlights, how they're designed, how they operate as well, with a lot of extra features, something that the Atlas Cross Sport doesn't offer. At the same time, they have similarities because they both have LED headlights and they both have those LED daylight running lights as well. The Audi goes a bit further than that because it uses a different type of system when it comes to the headlights, how it projects onto the roads and how it manages to brighten the area when you're driving with following the path that you're actually driving into, and then every time you turn, the headlights turns as well. So those are some of the extra features that you get in the Audi compared to that. That design feature continues all the way to the door. So for example, if you look at this carefully, you don't actually have a frame on top of the window glass in here. It's just standard. It's more like a coupe rather than an SUV. And that doesn't stop there. It's the same thing for the second door. Let me open it for you. As you can see, it continues with that design. Maybe you probably don't care about this because at the end of the day, they still do the same job. But to the people that are willing to pay that much, that matters. The Cross Sport, on the other hand, well, it just has standard doors. As you can see the frame at the top. In terms of technology onto this area, they both have a similar keyless entry system. So for example, they use keyless entry on the second door as well, so you don't actually reach out until the front door to open all four of them. You can do it straight from the door handle on both sides. Now, where the Audi goes a bit further is when you purchase the air suspension system, it has an entry mode and exit mode, so it kind of lowers itself when you're trying to get into the vehicle or when you exit. So it's a handy feature to have, something that you wouldn't get, for example, in this. Now, that depends who you are. If you're too lazy that you can't get in a vehicle, then probably the Audi could be your pick. Now, the Audi does offer you foldable mirrors, which unfold and fold automatically, something that we don't have in the Atlas Cross Sport. Now, let's talk about the rear side. First of all, keep in mind that they're both very similar in design because they're both technically Cross Sport style. It's more like a sportback SUV style. Like this one, for example, you can see the shape that goes all the way down. So this is technically like a Q7, is just smaller. In terms of the size, well, they're not too far from each other. This is not too big, this is not too small. They're almost the same in terms of wheelbase and of course the height and so on. The ground clearance is almost similar on both vehicles. Now keep in mind, with the air suspension system on the Audi Q8s, you get the option of course to raise the vehicle a little bit more than you would in this side. And on top of that, don't forget that this does offer big 22-inch wheels. You could probably get them aftermarket on the Atlas Cross Sport. Now let's move on to the rear side. I'm going to talk about technology, convenience and all that. First of all, they both have power lift gates with the option into the Audi Q8 to actually lock the vehicle and the tailgate with the button located at the top. You can also open them from the key fob, of course, very standard on both, and with that option to slide your foot under and open the tailgate. They both have similar features. Now, this is where the Atlas wins, is because it has a little bit more space onto the cargo area. Okay, so here's where things change a little bit more as well. Now, into the center in here, we have a screen. You can get something similar for the Atlas Cross Sport, but not with those extra features. This is a full touch screen for the rear sides. You can change quite a lot. So, for example, you can change the heated seats onto this side. You can change, it does offer, so for example, you can add, so for example, it has heated seats on the rear side. You can also change the position of the fan if you want it onto your feet or if you want it onto the front area. So a very cool feature in here that this offers compared to the Atlas Cross Sport. In terms of space in here, they're both very similar, not too far. I've already tested the Atlas Cross Sports, and this is similar to that. What they share in common is, of course, the panoramic roof. Now, as you saw when I started this up, first thing it does is that it adjusts the position of the steering wheel, since the steering column itself, it is actually power. So that's a difference between the two of them. Now let's talk about first what they have in common. This one offers a full digital screen with built-in Google Maps. The same thing you'll find on some packages on the Atlas Cross Sport. The one that we have for today's video actually doesn't have a full digital cluster, but they will be offered in the future. So they're not very far from each other in terms of that specific. It's mostly how they're designed, but they both can display the actual map in there. What else they have in common? Well, they both have a wireless charging pad. This one has it into this area. Meanwhile, the Atlas Cross Sport is onto the center. You can just slide in your phone and charge it wirelessly. Also, with this model, you get a lot of touch buttons instead of press buttons. Like, for example, onto this area here where you have the headlight settings, you can change everything here with just a touch. It's not necessarily a full button. You can still press them, but once you hover over it, it will tell you what the settings is set to for the headlights. A very interesting feature in here. Now, in terms of the door panel, well, this one offers you memory seats. Meanwhile, the Atlas doesn't. This one will offer you the option to actually lock both doors for the driver. Now, onto the center here, this is where things get very complicated and where things are different from both vehicles. First of all, let's talk about the design onto this area. Details in here are very important. They have made sure that once you get inside the car, you feel the difference right away in terms of how everything is designed, how everything is detailed, and of course, how you feel when you get inside the vehicle in terms of the harmony that everything works together. In the Atlas, where it's very much simple and standard design, nothing crazy. Like, for example, the dashboard here, that beautiful shape of the actual glass, the black glossy glass that you have onto this area. Like, for example, the Quattro logo and so on. Everything is designed in a specific way to make you happy once you get it. Everything is designed in a specific way to make you feel that you are inside a luxury vehicle, and that's very important. You don't see that into a video, but once you get inside a vehicle, you'll notice that right away. It also offers you the B&O surround system, which the Atlas doesn't. It's just a standard sound system. This one on the other side offers onto the center two massive screens with some buttons, of course, underneath. So, for example, for the parking aid and the camera, traction control, the drive modes as well, and of course the actual sound. Onto the centering here, even the shift knob is slightly different design. Of course, not very standard. It's a very small and short shift knob with the option, if you put into drive mode and then you put into sport mode all the way, if you want to just park the vehicle, you can press park. Now, here onto the center, to the second screen, for the MMI system that is used in this vehicle, the new system that Audi offers onto the new vehicles, that you have all the controls in here for, of course, the seats. You can change the area when it comes to the heated seat option. So if you wanted the recliner to heat up, then you can change that. You can lower the settings, and of course you increase the speed. If you have kids on the rear side, you can change the settings for the climate from here. You can do basically pretty much onto the second screen. You have hill assist as well. You have all the menus right in here. You can turn off the actual screen, the top screen that is used for navigation system and the car settings. Now keep in mind, they both offer built-in navigation system. They both offer the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. In here, you get a bit more extra features. So for example, you get the weather option and of course Wi-Fi connectivity as well. And at the same time, you can change the settings for the vehicle. You can change the settings for the brightness of the screen, for the actual cluster as well. All those little features that you wouldn't find much in the Cross Sport. Now, the vehicle itself, of course, you can change that as well. So this vehicle is equipped with a magnetic ride, and based on the driving mode, it will stiffen up or loosen up the suspension system for a better ride quality. Now this is where things change a bit as well. The actual infotainment system is equipped with a 360 camera when you use it into parking mode, and a 3D camera option as well. So you can actually scroll around the vehicle to see what's around it, if there's any close objects, any cars and so on. You can also do on top or on the side of the vehicle. If you switch into 360 mode, and then you can change all the settings for the camera, front camera, side camera. Now, it's about time we take this for a drive and see how it drives compared to the Atlas Cross Sport. Let's go for a drive. As I said, I have driven the 4-cylinder, and the one that we have today was a 4-cylinder, so I just thought it would be a waste of time to do a very, very long video. So we'd rather take this for a test drive and see how it does. At the moment, I have it in a comfort mode. Very relaxing. The suspension system, it's magnetic, right? So basically it softens up. So basically it gets softer once you put it into comfort mode. That way you don't have to feel all the road. Right off the bat, I notice one thing: how quiet it is inside compared to the Atlas. Now keep in mind that this is a V6, so when it comes to the engine noise, I don't hear it as much as the Atlas. This is a turbocharged engine. The Atlas is a turbocharged engine, but this has better isolation. So again, that explains the difference in price. The comfort level in here is, one thing I noticed with this vehicle is that the hood is so much lowered compared to the Atlas. The Atlas looks very flat, and you can see the top of the hood right away. This, on the other hand, well, it's flat down, lowered, so that way you don't actually see much of that area, but you have a better clearance when it comes to the front side, so you can see very well. In terms of visibility, one thing I noticed that they have in common is how bad they are in terms of visibility, because these things are cross sports. That means that the rear end of the vehicle, it's designed in a way to make it look like a coupe kind of style, SUV coupe style, so like the BMW X4 or the X6, which are very similar in design. So that's one thing that I noticed. Visibility on the rear side is not as good as in a standard SUV. Let me change the drive mode into auto. Here we go, dynamic. So dynamic is technically sport. And now you can feel the difference right away. You can feel the stiffness right away. It just changes so quick. Even the actual steering wheel changes stiffness as well. Now it's a bit harder and it becomes more sporty driven, more performance driven steering. You notice that right away, just right away. Once you change it into dynamic mode, this becomes a beast. And this is not even the SQ8. The SQ8 is crazy as well. A lot more horsepower than this. The adaptive cruise control, it's telling me to stay within the lanes because I'm pushing the car closer to the lane to see if it actually reacts and how fast. There we go, and it goes back into the lane. And so we're gonna test that out once I take it in a proper road. Here I just want to put it into sport mode, and we have it in S dynamic. You also have pedal shifters with this. It revs a bit high at some point because the vehicle is heavy. Now, in terms of the power delivery, this does, of course, far better job than that 4-cylinder. I said it before when I reviewed the Cross Sport that it does need the V6. The 4-cylinder is struggling to pull the weight off the vehicle. That's one thing I noticed with that engine specifically. The V6 would do a far better job with that car, with that SUV, because the 4-cylinder just struggles a lot. This, on the other hand, has a V6, but turbocharged. Oh, it's good. Yeah, it's good. The difference is so noticeable. It's just far better. I mean, the driving experience in this vehicle, it justifies that extra charge, that extra difference, almost double the price to start with, that these two vehicles have. I absolutely think the difference is there. The comfort level, the interior design, the features, the technology that it offers. And keep in mind, this isn't even the loaded one. The loaded one, you will get way more features. This is just the starting brace. This is just the base model at $89,000 with some extra features. If you get all the way to the loaded one, then you'll get a lot more features than you have right now. This is just the base, and you're still quite ahead of the Atlas, in my opinion. Now, let's do a takeoff just for fun, and let's see how this thing does. Do a launch control in a minute. Okay, here we go. Okay, hold on the traction. And here we go. Everything is done. So, pedal to the metal. 1, 2, 3, go. Wow, that was good. That was pretty good. Quite impressed. Anyways, that was it for today. Thanks for watching. As always, don't forget to subscribe. Special thanks goes to Volkswagen Brampton and Audi Brampton for making this possible. They got both cars in one place for me to review and to show you some of the different features that they both offer and why is one more expensive than the other one. I hope I was able to answer that question. Cheers.